All right, good afternoon. Thanks for joining. So today we are going to be doing a FFPC FantasyPros Championship $350 draft recap. We did one yesterday, and we're going to do another one today. Talk through the draft, talk through what went well, maybe what we could have done better, and open ourselves up to criticism so we can get better at this game we love called fantasy football. So today we're going to go and look at team 2. And let me take that off for a moment. Let's go ahead and share the screen. Appreciate y'all being here. We're going to go entire screen. So let's take a look at the team first, and then we'll go and look at the draft so that we can kind of see it in two different contexts. So this is one of 6 FFPC $350 FantasyPros Championship teams. Did not do the main event, but did some of these 350s. So as for the team, we have Caleb or Justin Herbert as our QB1. In the case of running back, we have Breece Hall and Travis Etienne. And then our wide receivers are DJ Moore, Tank Dell, and Xavier Worthy. But we do also have Christian Watson, Michael Wilson, and Wendell Robinson. Okay. So DJ Moore, Tank Dell, Xavier Worthy, Christian Watson, Michael Wilson, Wendell Robinson. As for the tight end, we have Brock Bowers and Dalton Kincaid. Bowers is the talent in a bad situation. Kincaid is the good situation, but a lack of talent. And it looks like if we go to the transactions, acquisitions, nothing. So none of the bids ran. Interesting. With Rasheen Ali going on IR, I was originally going to drop Drake May, but now I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and create a bid for Jacob Cowing, I think. Well, I'm going to look through this. Ricky Pearsall, Dotson, Javon Baker. Jacob Cowing. And we're going to move out. Think about this for a second. Power play, power play, power play, power play, power play. Awesome, 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 awesome. Hurt and on IR, but running back up 4 weeks. But then you have Vidal, Benson, Spears, Etienne, Hall. So I'm okay doing that. I don't want to lose May. I know I'm out ahead on May. but I don't want to lose May. I also don't want to lose this guy, so I'm going to go $12. And that's going to be my bid. Tonight, my only decision is actually Xavier Worthy. Do I want to play Xavier Worthy or Christian Watson, Wendell Robinson, Tajay Spears? I think with this particular team, I'm just going to roll Xavier Worthy. Now I'm going to just put him in here. Now this format will let you swap flex positions even after players. But on formats like Yahoo, please make sure you get your Thursday night game players into their RB spots, or do not leave them in the flex, because then you leave yourself less flex options by using up a flex come Sunday. So there are platforms like FFPC that will let you switch them after the players have played, but there are also formats, and I believe it's going to be like Yahoo, NFL.com, and maybe ESPN.com, but I'm not sure. If somebody's listening to this and can confirm that, please do. But in any event, if you start a player in the flex on, say, Thursday night game, you can't then move that player to the wide receiver, and then you may want to bring a running back in, and you can't do that. So you basically just back yourself into a corner and limit your options in terms of your starts and sits on Sunday. So always put the player in the wide receiver or running back position, respectively. In this case, I have Xavier Worthy. I'm going to go ahead and put him in the wide receiver position, which will then allow me to do additional substitutions where, say, if I had left him here, then I can only change out Kincaid. Now I can change out both Tank Dell and Kincaid. So there you have it. So Caleb Williams stacked with DJ Moore, Breece Hall, Travis Etienne. I could have had Bijan Robinson, but we'll get over there to the draft in a second. We'll see that. Then Tank Dell is kind of my 2. And then Xavier is my 3. Christian is my 4. Wilson is my 5. So I have a lot of high upside guys here. Christian and Xavier are similar, but they give me access to 2 different offenses. Whereas Tank Dell has a little bit more floor, I think, as does Moore. Moore's got the floor. And then this week, Bowers is going back out there, so we're gonna definitely play some Bowers this weekend. There's no way I'm putting Bowers on the bench. No way. And then Kincaid, I think just because of the offense and his role in it, I'm gonna probably play Kincaid. That leaves, do I want to play Christian Watson? Or do I want to play Xavier Worthy? And I think might not play Xavier Worthy. I'm going to play him in spots. I'm not going to jam him into all my lineups, but here's a good example of where it probably makes sense to just play him. I could do Tajay, and that's a decent alternative. Tajay Spears versus Xavier Worthy. Well, I think that there's some questions about that backfield too, so might as well have fun. It's Thursday night. It's NFL kickoff day. So get Worthy in at least one lineup. I can't say definitively that Tajay is a better pick. If it was more clear than that, like a Brian Robinson Jr. or even Pollard for that matter, I would maybe go the other route, but that usage isn't very clear. And we know Marquise Brown is hurt, so I think it's a decent play to have Worthy in there. As for the draft, They gave it a C plus, 60 out of 70. I'm not worried about that. I'm more interested in mid to late season increase in production and, high end late season production. So I don't think this grades out all that well in that context. That being said, let's take a look at the draft board. Drafting out of the 5 hole, I went ahead and took Breece Hall after Christian, C.D. Hill, and Amon-Ra St. Brown were off the board. I took Breece. I had the option at Bijan. It was flip a coin. I went out to my app, fantasyfitness.io, and I don't use this for everything, but sometimes I use it as a tiebreaker. And in this particular case, the order stood Christian, Breece, Saquon, Bijan. So I went ahead and rolled it on Breece. Breece comes in as an 8.86, the number 2 overall running back in the model. His talent score is a 9.14. He's of only 2 players in the entire RB database that grade out above a 9, the other one being Christian McCaffrey. And his team score was a little bit lower, comes in at 8.45 or number 5 overall for running backs. So then we take the talent store and we basically aggregate it or combine it with the team score and then weight these scores appropriately. And then we arrive at the overall fantasy fitness score of 8.86. That's number 2 overall. So with that, we decided to go with Breece. It came back around, and then we took Travis Etienne right here. Definitely was thinking about Achane, but have him in a lot of other FFPC 350s, which you'll see in future videos. But for today, I want to focus on Travis Etienne. So if we look here at this list, Travis comes in at 7. And if we look strictly at his talent, it's closer to 14. So RB number 14 puts him around the likes of guys like Aaron Jones, Kenneth Walker, what we're hoping to see from Benson, Jacobs, Javonte Williams. So it's a good range, but it's not the elite ranges in terms of his scoring. That being said, his team score is amongst the very best. Only behind Christian McCaffrey, comes in at an 8.53. And when we combine those scores together and weight them appropriately, then we arrive at 8.41, and he's the RB7. So others RBs that could have been picked before him would have been Jonathan Taylor, who was off the board. Derrick Henry was the one name that wasn't already off the board. So there may be some regret about that. I don't know. I went for youth and more pass catching upside, but we can debate it. And I'm happy to do that. If you have questions, comments, criticism, put those thoughts in the comments and let me know what else you guys want to talk about. What is of interest to you and things of that nature, because this is really for you guys. I just love fantasy football and want to talk fantasy football and learn and get better at this really hard sport. So appreciate y'all being here, and we're going to continue on with this draft. So then it came back around, and this is not something I normally do, but I did see Liam Murphy do this in one of his main events. He actually took him in the mid-second. And so I thought, well, this guy knows a lot about fantasy football. So I'm going to go ahead and, make a play that he made, basically. And so I made that play. I got him at the 3.5. So I thought, well, it's going earlier than that. This feels like good value. This guy's high on him. I know he's a Bills fan. Let's discount that in the model. And then I guess still draft him here at the 3-5. And then we came back around. And honestly, I would have, if I was going off of the model, my model, we would have looked at somebody like Andrews would have graded out better here. And I'm kind of kicking myself for this because I am an Andrews guy. So yeah, tight end 6 in terms of his talent score, that puts him around Hawk and McBride, but number 1 team environment for fantasy points. At least that's what we believe in the model. And so he comes in at number 2, which is pretty far ahead for us compared to Kincaid. So this was merely we've got other sharps that are making other moves. I'm watching to kind of see what those sharps are doing. I took a play from somebody else's playbook, basically. Comes back around. This is where I get DJ Moore. I just love his floor, his consistency, his durability. You don't have to worry about him. Isn't going to get the highest points necessarily, but he's Mr. Reliable and does have spike week potential. Had a 50-something point week last year against the Redskins. So, the Commanders. And with that, also, you come back around here and you've got Tank Dell just waiting for me, saying, please draft me. I'm on the Houston Texans, and my quarterback is CJ Stroud. That don't overthink this. Don't do mid IQ brain, high IQ, low IQ. Just draft Tank Dell. And that's what we did. Then it came back around. Same logic. Xavier Worthy tethered to Patrick Mahomes, who might throw for 50 touchdowns this year. Let's go ahead and snag up those shares at the 6-8. And then back-to-back rookies, because the King himself was still here and we wasted no time at all. And we drafted Brock Bowers at the 7-5. And then let this thing snake back around. And I was hoping for a Dunze, but that didn't happen. Lad went, and so we went more for the ceiling play here in Christian Watson. Christian Watson at the 8-8. One of, I think, the last kind of real spike week running backs left on the board. Taking him in front of guys like Sutton, Coleman, Shakir, an older Hopkins, a beat-up Brown, Shakir, who I like but has never really been able to earn a high targets per route run or yards per route run. Palmer, good player, but don't see the upside there, really, or don't see a ton of it. So yeah, so I think Watson was the play there. Then came back around, took what we hope is going to be a fairly explosive Tajay Spears, and let that kind of play out. Got our third running back at this point, have 4 wide receivers, and then sort of acting Bowers as like a 5th wide receiver. So feel pretty good about that in 1.5. And then took 1.01 Caleb Williams in the real NFL draft, paired him up with DJ Moore, took the high upside play in Trey Benson for late season tournament period upside in the event that Connor wears down, which is our thesis in this build because he is older and more less durable at this point, just statistically speaking. And you add to the fact that he isn't the most athletic running back. If we look at his profile, and by the way, Connor is one of my favorite players in the league. This guy battled back from cancer and is just an absolute warrior, in my opinion. But if we look at the data, and we measure his data relative to everybody else, and we use the same formula and apply it equally amongst peers, he comes in at a 7.81 from a talent perspective. And that kind of makes sense because if you go to his athletic measurables, he runs a 4.65 40, so he's not very fast. When you adjust for size, 8.25, no explosiveness, no agility, no burst, no lateral jumping out of the way. He runs the contact and he plays bully ball. And that is going to get him hurt. That is our thesis. And when that happens, we have Trey Benson right here with an 8.23 talent score, whose team score would then rise dramatically based on the fact that he would then be giving a large opportunity share, which in effect would push his overall score up into RB2, possibly RB1, back end RB1 range. That was why we made the bet on him so large in Best Ball Mania 5. And that's why I made that bet right here in my 350. Come back around and somewhat of a similar thesis here with Kamani Vidal. We have an older Gus Edwards and a off injured J.K. Dobbins. Again, love Dobbins, love Gus the bus, but they're not as explosive at this point in their career, although the metrics are pretty good. In the case of Dobbins, he comes in at 7.73, so he's around guys like Bucky and Estime and Connor. Team score 50-50, we're not too sure yet, but this number could go up quickly once we get data this year, and then overall score will obviously rise. But 10 attempts per game, 56 yards per game, half a touchdown a game. His biggest quality is size-adjusted speed, 4.37. When you adjust for 5'10", 215, nearly a perfect size speed athlete. Team environment, good coaching, good quarterback, average O-line, some competition there with Kamani Vidal and Gus. And I think the point that I want to get to with this pick is that Kamani Vidal has the highest talent score amongst these. And if something were to happen to Gus or Dobbins, who we also made bets on, but not in this build, he would become a very good RB2, most likely RB3 for this team. And then we took a chance on Michael Wilson. That was merely a talent play in this range of the board. We think Michael Wilson is good at football, although we don't think he's great at football. We think he's good at football and could outplay this draft position and give us bye week support, possible injury help down the stretch if things really connect with him and Kyler Murray. Next, we went a little early here, but locked up Herbert, took Wendell on the way back. Then Drake May was an auto pick because I missed it in the morning, but I'm actually not regretting that right now. At that point, we still were able to get our target, which was Greg Dulcich. That would add some spike week potential and maybe, every week potential depending on his health. After that, we came back with Rasheen Ali, who's now on IR. Defense, Philly, Tyler Bass, kicker, and that concludes the draft recap for the FFPC team number 2. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you guys stopping by. Please drop your questions in the chat. Let me know what you would have done different. Let me know, what else you guys want to see. I'm hoping to, bring the content that you guys are looking for. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you soon. Signing off.